We are back, and we know you're excited for us to be back because we are going to review another amazing movie for you. This time it is Jalsa. Do you want to give the treetop M or should I?
No, go for it. I know you loved it, didn't you?
I loved it. I loved it. But that's such an understatement saying the fact that anything that has Shefali Shah has my heart. I just think she is the most brilliant actor when it comes to deep topics. But the way she chooses which shows or movies for her to be in, I genuinely think this woman sits there with like the entire script of a 3 hour movie and she reads through the whole thing before she decides which movie to take part of. Because I have never in my life seen Shefali Shah act in anything that was bad. Never. Like the
Totally. I
screenwriting is
totally. I back you up on that one.
impeccable.
Definitely.
Exactly. So this time is no different. Shefali Shah actually works with Vidya Balan, Manav Khan, sorry, Rohini
Man of
Hattangady,
call.
Iqbal Khan. Hey, if you guys don't know, Mira is a Mira call. So if you want to know how they're related, you just have to ask her. Don't forget to tweet her. Don't forget to send her a DM on Instagram. Figure out how. So Maya, played by Vidya Balan, is this renowned and she's like a formidable TV anchor. She works with WRD News Network and she is like interested in her boss. She's married. Don't forget that. She's married. She has her husband Salim at home. She even has a son who actually is differently able. So he has cerebral palsy. And she has someone at home who's taking care of her son. I guess somewhere along the way she gets a little lost and she starts developing these feelings for her boss. So her and her boss, they never make anything, official, but you can tell that there's something going on between them.
Yeah, you can feel that they're in a relationship, but they never state it out
Yeah.
there. There are a lot of things in this entire movie that are not stated, but they are, and that
Yeah.
was, I think, okay. I had to tell you something. All right, now that you've given it a treetop, something that you have to understand about this whole movie, if you understand the director's lens, this whole movie isn't the director isn't in the movie. You're actually an observant to you're like an observer. The director's
Mhm.
lens is an observer to what's going on in the movie. So
I
you're
feel
literally not anybody's voice.
exactly. Oh my gosh, I agree with that. I thought that was perfect though, because it gives you insight into every character, but at the same time, it doesn't give you every character's motivation. It like won't tell you enough because you're not in a body of anybody, so you don't know. But you can, from their outside actions, it's as if you were a neighbor or an onlooker and you are watching things happen. You're like, okay, I'm putting together the puzzle, I'm putting together the pieces. So Maya, again, Vidya Balan, she's working. She has this maid at home who is played by our wonderful Shefali Shah, Ruksana Muhammad. And she also has her mother. Like her mother lives with her, Rukmini, and her estranged father, Manav Kal, who he just like comes occasionally to visit them. He's not really a big character. I won't lie. Sometimes I felt like throughout this movie, there were some characters who were just not developed enough that I was like, I love you, but why are you there? Like, why are you there? The main plot of the story is that one day Maya is driving home and she runs over a girl on the street. She literally just hits a hit and run. And because she's so worried about what's going to happen, she leaves the girl on the roadside. She just like, I don't know what to do. So she just lets her go. And she gets so stressed about it that she confides to her boss or her love interest. And the boss is like, it's a great thing you didn't tell anybody, because you're such a prominent figure. It's going to really hurt your reputation if you get caught in a scandal like this. People will either assume you were drunk driving or they're going to assume there was some reason why you hit the person. They're going to be like, oh, you left them there. Like they're going to start making all these speculations about you. It's going to hurt your integrity, especially because you're a forward facing TV anchor, right? She feels really guilty about it. But what makes this worse is that one day she finds out that the girl is Alia, who is Ruksana, which is actually her own housemate's daughter. And she goes through like these weeks and weeks and weeks of revelations where she just lets that poor woman deal with it, acting as if she was not involved with the situation whatsoever. She just leaves this Ruksana dealing with her critically conditioned daughter who is randomly getting help from different people. Like there's this one young rookie reporter who was kind of looking into the case. There is some random like I'm trying to remember who the people were, but there
She
were like,
does. Maya pays for all of it. She does pay for it, but she never tells. She does not
right,
tell Ruksana that it was her car that hit her daughter, but she pays for everything because she's obviously guilty. But
yeah,
also, along with the guilt, it starts affecting her daily life
it
because
does.
she's not normal after that, right?
Of course she's not. And I can imagine she isn't because she's facing the guilt of it every day. She's watching Shafali Shah's character deal with the grief and the aftermath of like looking at her daughter and knowing that this is the situation that they're actually going to be in. So I think the show,
Movie.
sorry, the movie focuses a little bit on this idea of classism, which Em and I were able to talk about a little bit. And we felt that it was vital, but the way it was told kind of takes away from the story. Like these weird asides, like I know it was pivotal to the entire overall story, but it's not. There are like these certain asides in the movie that I'm like, maybe your like touch on classism doesn't need to be that deep. Like it can just be the fact that Shafali's character is like, I'm employed by this woman. So if I'm no longer employed by her, I won't have the money to treat my daughter, or she has treated my daughter so poorly. She's the reason my daughter is now in a critical condition. So like, should I even keep working for her? Do I have the moral integrity to just, resign and leave? And that's what she tries to do. At one point, she actually tries to do it when she finds out what the truth is. And Vidya's character Maya is like, no, 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 please stay. Like, I want to make it right. But even after that, she starts learning even more secrets, like how she paid the police to hide the situation, how they're not exactly sure, like why her daughter was even out so late in the first place and who she was out with. Like there are so many little tiny missing pieces
Yeah,
that she
but then
just,
if you look at it from the director's lens, the cops have their own reason why they don't want to investigate it. Maya has her own reasons why this should not be investigated. The Rohini, the reporter who works for Maya, she's trying to just impress Maya, literally,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And Maya doesn't want to be impressed, but she doesn't have she doesn't know how to tell her to stop.
Exactly.
The guy, what's his name, her boyfriend, and her partner, he actually tells Rohini to stop, but then there's this character Manav Kaul who comes and goes just for his son. He's married to a
Yeah.
Russian woman and has a separate family. So what we get to see is a very multicultural family, and then there is a class differentiation, right?
Mhm.
This Ruksana's class and identity versus Maya's class and identity, where Maya can give money and get things done, and Ruksana does not have the money, but she
Yeah.
has the integrity, because the moment Ruksana does come to know actually what had transpired, she returns the money. She doesn't want it, but she kind of equals with Maya on just the basis of the emotion each one of these women feel for their kids.
Mhm. I think there's a level of I genuinely did enjoy it, even if there were all these little side characters who just kept trying to get in the way somehow. I think they all did blend with each other well. Like for example, that rookie reporter, she's one of them, right? Um, I thought it was just so well told that she's like Maya's her boss, and she's just I'm trying to impress her, and it ties so well into like who is trying to figure out the case, who isn't trying to figure out the case. Like all those characters are welded together really well, even if they are connected by a string. Like for example, the boy's father, who just comes in every now and then just to check on the boy. His character, I don't think added a significant amount of value to the story, but it just goes to show how much that little boy, even with his differently abled condition, how well he's looked after in comparison to Ruksana's daughter, who in critical condition, the cops are like struggling, like they're like saying, I don't really even want to solve this case. Like it goes to show like contrast between classism.
Despite the fact that Maya is a single woman, despite everything else, she still has a ecosystem of
Yes,
people supporting her. Even her ex-husband supports her, right?
exactly.
So she's not alone in any form or manner, and she has all the wealth, everything else. But you know what really matters to her, because she's taken care of otherwise. um, the only thing she doesn't have at that point in time is the integrity that she requires. Her integrity shook right now, and that is why she is guilty.
which I think is really great with her profession because it also adds a different layer, which I don't necessarily think they talk about 100%. But the boss, I think the boss's character is there to add value to the idea that she is a TV anchor. And media is a not always true with what they're portraying, which is so crazy
Yeah,
because
but remember when we start, the movie starts, she has an interview with a judge who she actually takes to task, and that becomes viral, and that becomes viral because she has this entire reputation
right,
of being difficult and having a lot of integrity. Now all of a sudden she doesn't have the integrity.
she doesn't. She doesn't. She's like, it's okay if it's on other people. It's okay if the consequences are going to fall on someone else and I'm ruining their life with my integrity. But it's not okay if I ruin my own life with my integrity. Like I see that double-sidedness. And that's where I'm like, I think there's like so much depth to everything that was written in the story. There's like even these minute forms of depth to everything that is talked about. Like I know we have watched things on this show before where we're like, wow, you're just kind of throwing these wokeisms in like sexuality, racism, classism, casteism. Like you're kind of just throwing them in there to throw them in there. But it was all beautifully tied together in this movie. It was talked about just how much it needed to be talked about. And I thought that was so tasteful. The whole story writing was so tasteful. I personally gave it a really high rating. I think if you have the chance to watch it, please watch it. If there's only one thing that you have free time to watch this week, Jalsa is it. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. And we absolutely love the grammar about the direction. Everything was fabulous. And this is a time that we slide in a song for you. I'm going to slide in this song from Pushpa. I think we'll have a Pushpa day here today. Going to slide in Pushpa. This song is called Sami Sami. And here we go. And by the way, before we slide in the song, we have to remind you that this movie called Jalsa is streaming on Amazon Prime.